Hey viewers, my name's Kara. I'm your host for Tuesdays here on the Pagan Perspective. It's July of 2019, just for your reference if you're watching this far, far into the future. And this week we are talking about the wise ones we watch. This week's topic came from Freedom Fighter, who asked, or who wrote in, and what they wrote will be in the description of my video, as always. They wrote, I would love to know, in your experience watching YouTube, which YouTube witches channels would you recommend to watch as a role model of a successful and wise witch? Or witchy channels which would have a great impact on the personal growth of fellow magical practitioners. The channels can be specific to your own path, on several paths, or just a general one. Thank you. Smiley face. So, we're talking about people who we watch, who we would recommend to others, who we think will help people learn and grow. In this video, I will not claim to know who is successful or what that means. I think that means very different things to different people. I think also that labeling someone as wise is a very subjective thing. We can think that people are wise who would just absolutely laugh at the notion that they are considered wise. And I think that's all part of the journey, and I love that. So I want to talk about a bunch of people. I am not saying that I necessarily think of them as a role model or that I think of them as successful, because what does that mean? That's a whole different subject for me. And so yeah, I'm just going to talk about people who I watch, who have influenced me in any way, shape, or form. This is also kind of interesting because earlier, a couple months ago, we talked about the benefits and the detriments of comparing ourselves to other people. And I feel like when we start talking about who we look to as a role model of a successful witch, we can get into some negative comparisons of like, well, they're successful and I'm not, kind of things. That's just not really the way I think. And also, we made videos a little while ago. We did a week topic on who we look up to, who inspires us. And in my video that week, I talked about how I don't really look up to very many people, because the people that I do look up to, it's because I think that they are on some kind of level above me in some way. Whether it's they have more experience overall, they are just a little bit further down a specific path that I am also walking, and therefore I can learn directly from them because they are in a place that I would like to be in some regard. You know, whatever. So this kind of relates back to those topics for me. We've been talking about a lot of things that are kind of related to those topics for me lately. So definitely go back and watch those for more of my views on that. But what I want to do here is, first of all, give you a disclaimer that although I have written down a list and it's right here, I will forget to name people. I will not be able to name everyone. I apologize in advance, and I love you all. But the first thing also that I have to do kind of briefly in this video is admit something, which is that over the past few years, my life has changed a lot. Obviously my relationship with how I am able to create video content has changed a lot since my computer broke down and I haven't been able to edit things, which hopefully is getting remedied very soon. My partner and I are about to make a purchase of some new technology, which a lot of you have actually helped with fundraising for by getting readings from me or donating toward that. So thank you very much. So we'll be able to do some things in the future that are really exciting. But over the past few years, my relationship with my content has been very different. My relationship with my spiritual path and how I interact with it and the internet has been very different over the past couple of years. Obviously, I've still been here on Pagan Perspective reliably, but I have taken an unintentional hiatus from my personal channel for a while last year, and also the volume at which I consume other pagan and witchy YouTube content has drastically changed. When Kyle and I started this collab channel in 2009, and when I really started posting my own videos about paganism and witchcraft and my personal path, Kyle and I would sit around and we'd like be chatting on Messenger while just watching video on video on video, just like every day. That's what we did with our lives. And, you know, we had the time to do that. It was over the summer. I had just graduated from high school. Kyle was still in high school. And, you know, years later when he went to college, he didn't have time for these things anymore. And gradually, I also had less and less time. So, meanwhile, the Pagan and Witchy YouTube community, like as far as people who are actually creating video content, not to mention the people who are just consuming that content, the community of viewers and commenters has grown exponentially. But the people actually making video content has also exploded, and there's just so much. And so years ago, I kind of just realized that I wasn't going to be able to keep up with it all anymore. So I've really narrowed it down, and mainly due to my own relationship with my practice and my role on the internet and the combination thereof. I've been doing a lot more inner work. I've been focusing a lot more on reading this year. If you watch my personal channel, you definitely know that, or if you follow me on social media, you definitely know that. But yeah, so because of that, when I do watch YouTube videos, it's mostly like general like entertainment stuff for me. I try to not spend as much time, because I'm constantly reading the pagan witchy stuff. I don't also watch the like academic pagan witchy stuff. So I've really narrowed it down, is what I'm trying to say. If you had asked me this question 5 years ago, the list would have been a lot different, a lot longer, probably a lot more expanded throughout the community. And I freely admit right here and right now that there are corners and nooks and crannies and edges of this community on YouTube that I am completely unaware of. And so I'm going to invite you all, as I know Rich also invited you in his video, and probably all of us will this week, to let us know some names of people that you watch in the comments, because I am blissfully unaware of so much good stuff. Now that I've given you a 7.5-minute introduction, here we go. So the witchy pagan people who I still do try to watch on YouTube regularly, not immediately when every video comes out necessarily, but when I'm feeling in the mood to consume some more witchy content, basically online, here are the people that I tend to click on the most. Thorn Mooney, Katie Flowers, Australian witch, by the way, Rich, if you didn't know. There are a lot of Australian witches out there. I love Katie Flowers. Danny Lang, of course, former A+ sub of the Pagan Perspective. I still try to catch up with Danny's videos as much as I can, as well as pretty much everyone from Pagan Perspective, current or past. So those are really the main ones. So Danny falls into that category too. So it's basically like Thorn Mooney, Katie Flowers, and everyone related to Pagan Perspective. So, of course, Annie, Mirth and Reverence, one of my favorite people. Annie is probably one of the only people that when you ask me to name a wise witch that I've ever watched on YouTube, not necessarily like right now, and she didn't make videos for a little while, but, you know, like some people dip in and out of being really active in the video creation content of this community. I would name Annie. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind. I love her. She's been so helpful to me. And so I watched Rich's video before I started mine, and because I knew he would talk about Annie. And I put a comment in there. I was like, "Thank you everyone for attending this annual meeting of the Annie fan club. Everyone who loves Annie, please raise your hands. We all love Annie here. Annie, we love you." I'm so excited that you and Rich are going to get to hang out later this month. That's so cool. I can't wait to meet you both in person eventually as well. Yes, Annie, Mirth and Reverence, so much love for you. Also, yes, Rich, yeah, we're friends. Okay, so we're friends. Megan, Charlie, Brendan, of course now I'm naming people who are not currently on the channel anymore, but who have been so impactful to me. Brendan has been so impactful to me. I still keep up with Charlie Cheer through other forms of social media regularly. Still consider Charlie a very close friend who I met through this YouTube machine and through the Pagan Perspective specifically. Eric Lurch, not the current sub Eric, but the previous Eric, I have been a fan of for a long time. Also the new Eric, but you come later in the list. Just wait. Yucca, JD, Angelo, all of you I have learned various things from throughout our time together on this channel, and I continue to learn so much every day. I don't get to watch everyone's videos the day that it's uploaded. I tend to wait a few months and then do a big, huge binge watch. But I also am in touch with these people on social media and other places, and so it's not just through watching their videos that they have affected and impacted my practice or just led me to think of things differently or just had, an interesting thought process one day. Also, a bunch of people who were substitute hosts who were no longer here. Rob, Charlie says go, the other Charlie, Austin and Kyle, some of my fellow original founding members, Dancing Rabbit, of course, another one right up there with Annie. They were kind of our mom and dad of the channel as far as actual physical age goes. They were our age elders, but also had a lot of wisdom to share and a lot of willingness to share that wisdom with us, as well as DR's wife, Feather, who was a substitute host for a while and made some videos for us. Cole, another person that I met through the channel who I considered a friend and still consider a friend, although we don't talk nearly as often now as we used to, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that any of that love is less, And so, yeah, all of these people that I named and the Terras, we had multiple Terras on the channel as well. These are people who I don't necessarily still talk to on a regular basis. They're not all still making videos, but, at the time, we had some very cool conversations, and that I still, get in touch with here and there. Also, another one being Cody, who just popped up into my radar again today because Cody and their husband, Paul, or their spouse, I suppose I should say. I don't know what pronouns or terms you all prefer. But Cody and Paul have started a new podcast that I listened to the first episode of today called Besom Buddies. And, Cody is someone who I was in touch with when they were a sub on the channel, and then their life exploded and there was so much going on in their life, and so I just remained kind of tangentially in touch through social media, and then popped up on the radar again today with this awesome new podcast. So I definitely recommend you check that out. Cody's one of us from the past, and there are so many more past members that I could not even name right now if I tried. Fiakari, Ray, so many people, and they all affected us in one way or another, or many. And of course, the new subs, I'm enjoying getting to know the new subs and their perspectives. Tim, Eric, Magic, Meg, you're all fantastic. I'm really loving having you here. Thank you. In the other category that I have to talk about today, not just YouTube, there are a lot of people that I would consider wise witches, or people who I look up to as being wise, or just people who I love learning from and interacting with, who I mainly keep in touch with through other forms of social media. As I said, a lot of people that I used to watch on YouTube or who do make YouTube videos, I actually don't interact with them or their content as much on YouTube. I interact with them more on other social media, mainly Instagram these days. So there's that. But I love the fact that there are a lot of our remaining sort of overall community craft elders and authors and teachers and things like that who are active on social media, who we can follow. And so the big three for me who fall into that category, their names all happen to start with S. So I would like to give a shout out to Selena, Silver, and Starhawk. It's just so cool knowing that you can follow some of these people on social media, and it's not just books that might have been published decades and decades ago, and their personal paths have shifted and changed, and their thoughts have shifted and changed, and things that are in print from years ago are basically like a time capsule of what people thought at the time, but that's not necessarily accurate up to today. And so I just think it's cool that one of the good things about social media is that we can connect with these types of people if they happen to be online. Oberon Zell is also online on social media. Raymond Buckland was online on social media until he passed a couple years ago, things like that. So definitely love that. I also follow a lot of Pathos Pagan bloggers and look up to them, I suppose. I wouldn't even really say I look up to them, but I look for their articles because I love them. I love their views and opinions. I love the thought processes that I am led to through reading various articles. So this would be, anyone from Jason Mankey, Matt Oren, to Laura Tempest Zakroff, and so many more. And also people who I really learn a lot from, who I keep in touch with and follow online, are many of my reclaiming teachers, several of whom are also Pathos Pagan bloggers. So these would be folks like Iris Anya Moon, Phoenix LaFay, G'day Parma. Brendan, also one of our previous members, is also one of my reclaiming teachers. So, there's really cool overlap there. So definitely learn a lot from those people, although some of them have never made a YouTube video ever that I know of, at least not about this type of subject. And there are also, as I said, other people who I know are really active on YouTube, but I am not really active with following their content on YouTube, but I follow them elsewhere. These are people like Kellyanne Maddox, Molly Roberts, Olivia Pajipshin, who I have only grown closer to in recent years through chatting than we ever really were close when they were making a lot of videos early on in the day. But, we knew each other then, we watched each other's videos then, but it's a much closer friendship and sort of influence and discussion having now than it ever was then. Azura Dragonfeather, of course, love following their Instagram. I've also made some new friends through Instagram and had some great discussions and had my path impacted and my just general philosophizing about witchcraft on a daily basis impacted by them, who I found out through their Instagram that they are also YouTubers, but I have not yet watched any of their YouTube videos. Or I've seen like one or two of them. So people like Anya Esma, who I met kind of through Azura Dragonfeather, but I mostly interact with her on Instagram. Luna Poplar, someone new that I met. Katie Flowers actually just recently told me about Eris Elizabeth, and who is also from Australia, by the way. Rich, are you counting? Are you writing these down? So, yeah. And then there are also people who I kind of tangentially know through YouTube who don't necessarily make their own videos, but who I consider very close personal friends and who I chat a lot with and are probably the people who I talk to the most on a regular basis. These are people like Lauren of Dittany Beauty, Emily, who is also a reclaiming friend, because that's how you make friends. You slide into the DMs and talk about reclaiming tradition. That's how we make friends. I love you, Emily. And Chloe, someone that I talk to very regularly, who I met through them being one of my viewers and who I talk to a lot. And then on that note, actually, I could also name all of the people who I have grown close to through them being my sponsors on Patreon. So Jenny, Mike, Mikey, Daniel, Jennifer, so many of you. Again, the disclaimer came at the beginning of the video and I didn't write any of these names down because I only just thought of that. But talking about Chloe reminded me of like all the good conversations that I've had because of things Jenny has said on my Patreon or that Mikey has brought up or Daniel, and just, yeah, so many things. So I didn't write down those names, but all the people who sponsor me on Patreon who I am able to get to know in a more close way because of chatting with them on there or asking for people's opinions there, things like that. So I don't know if I don't know what being successful at this means. I don't know what being successful in the world means. I know that my definition of being successful is very different than society's stereotypical expectation of what it means to be successful, and I'm cool with that. So yeah, someone as a successful and wise witch, I'm not going to claim to have any of that for you, but these are the people who I love, who I have learned various things from over the years, whether it be one thing or 5 things or a million things, whether it be an ongoing connection or someone, hello Robin, a robin just flew at the window and it was startling and kind of loud. You may have heard them. I love robins. Anyway, yeah, so many great people, from the people who started this channel with me to people who I'm just now getting to know exist through Instagram and haven't really been able to check out their YouTube channel yet, but I follow them on other social media and I love that that is a thing now. So yeah, I just interact with the community in very different ways now, and hopefully we'll be getting a computer soon. I'll be able to start making edited videos and things will go faster and I will fall in love with this again, the making of content, because I still love it, but I'm anticipating, you know, something more to come again when I can feel like I'm fully expressing myself in the creative way that I want to be, you know? Yeah. So I love these people. Please let me know more people you love in the comments. Oh, yeah, I'm already thinking of other names of people who I've been introduced to through some of you recommending them to me over the past couple years, who I then sort of like started to become friends with, and then I kind of like, my life exploded and I stopped being able to watch them regularly. People like Owlvine Green. So yeah, let me know some other names in the comments when I have time. Maybe I'll make time one of these days to check them out and get back into all of this. So yeah. Love you. And thank you, Lauren, for giving me these magnets. I finally realized that they will stick to my whiteboard. So much love, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I thought I was going to make my video shorter than Rich's this week, but, you know, I just love too many people. What can I say? I'll see you next time. Until then, don't forget to be awesome. Blessed be, and goodbye.